This is the Mary Poppins of Startups podcast. Let the show begin.
Tina, HumaniTea, again, as I said many times ever since we met, is a concept that I absolutely like. Can you remind us, for those who might just join or just listen right now, can you remind us what the motto is again?
Yeah, so it's me time, tea time, anytime. So you can
Yep.
see, in the front.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Me time, tea time, anytime. And
yeah,
it's a vegan drink that you can have organic, and also you can have that with biscuit, which I think is still very important that we tell people who might want to think, I want my tea and biscuit. Yes, humanity is adequate for that.
yeah. And
Now,
even for those who like to go out and party, some people have told me they've used it as a hangover cure.
I think I'm gonna have to put that on my list. You never know when it comes in handy. So when you starting in your early years, you've mentioned in the first part that you went into different incubators and accelerators and different programs as you started with the MBA. Sorry, is it the MBA that you did? Yeah,
Yes.
and then moving on to the incubators and trying out the ideas. There's a lot of people out there that get a bit, a bit nervous about going to an accelerator and incubator. They don't really know whether it's going to be the right one for them, or whether it's going to be a waste of time or not, or whether they will be able to get out on the other side of the product. What was your thinking, and how did you navigate finding the right incubators and accelerators that was good for you?
Yes, I think once you do some research online and you go to some Eventbrite events, like for example, the Food Hub and like London Agri-Food Innovation Clinic, Virgin Startup, they all put events on Eventbrite, and you can find events related to whatever industry you're interested in on there. So I think I went to one event, and then from there, you just keep on going, because at that event, you'll meet other people who are into the food and drink industry, for example, and who are very knowledgeable, who go to a bunch of other events, and then you just ask them like, oh, what other events are out there? And that's when I learned about so many more. And then you go to those events and you meet more people. So it's kind of like it just gets bigger and bigger. So I think the first step is just to go to one event where you'll just meet people who will share with you additional resources. And that's how I heard about like Virgin Startup and got into that community. And then found my mentor through the British Library. They have a mentorship program and also support startups there at the business and IP center.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are just so many places. And then EIT Food, for example, is a great community. Got involved into like the Cambridge community there as well. And then of course Cambridge Social Ventures, which is great for companies that want to become social enterprises. So just so many programs out there. And like for example, we saw them Borough Market for a few months, and that was through London Agri-Food Innovation Clinic, and they funded our stand during that time. And so yeah, like just through all these programs, you can find support, and it's really amazing once you just take the first step out of perhaps your comfortable like zone, your comfort zone, and go out there and talk about your product. I say if it's like a physical product, always bring it if possible. If it's like a portable physical product to show people, because it shows, then you can ask them about what they're thinking about your product, or like what improvements they think could be added to your product. So it's a great way to showcase and network and yeah, just connect.
A lot of people, whenever they have an idea, they don't know where to go, what to do about it. But one thing I've noticed in my own story of starting my own business, and I work a lot with startups and a lot of networking, is that the startup community is surprisingly very open and very friendly. I think that one thing that connects us all founders is the pain that we've gone through.
Yeah.
So by going out there, if you're a first timer, you might think, wow, what do I do? What do I speak to? I might not be the best public speaker, or I might be a bit shy, or whatever it is. But the moment you get there, it seems like there's an open door, an open space that's been there waiting for you for a long time. I don't know if you experienced that as well, Tina.
Yes, I've experienced that the startup community, especially in food and drink, is very close knit, and people want to help each other out. We're like a very friendly bunch of people. So you go in and you come out with like friends. So yeah, even like today, like if I want to ask someone a question about like pricing, I can just WhatsApp them, and it goes both ways. Like they can also WhatsApp me if they have questions. So I think it's, yeah, people are really great and they just want you to also succeed, and we help each other out all the time.
So is there what are the most important learning that you can share with other people from your own personal experience of going through this journey of building a product and launching a company?
Yeah, I think being passionate about the idea is very important, because I think if you're not passionate about the idea, like burnout can be quite high, because of course there's challenges that come with running a startup, like costs and not having stable income, and then long nights, especially at the beginning, where you just need to work, like it feels like you're working 24/7 because you're trying to get the product off the ground. And so I think, yeah, passion is a big thing, but I also learned that physical and mental health is so important. And I think that's why I created the product, to be supporting well-being and sustainability initiatives as well. Because I realized, like, when I was creating the product, I was at some point not taking care of my health. And I think it's so important, like self-care and making sure that you're getting enough rest, and not overworking yourself is also a part of the startup journey that founders need to take and realize that it's so important, because without health you're not able to do anything. So that's why yeah, getting that rest is important. Because for example, I was renting a commercial kitchen from midnight to 6 a.m. and then going to the farmer's market at 9 a.m. just because I wanted to save some costs with the kitchen, because it's half price at that hour. And then also it was easier for me to go from the kitchen directly to the market instead of going home. So it was all like based on that logistics and saving some money. But then at some point, eventually I burned myself because I was so tired. And I just was like being careless, carrying like hot water and just like spilled it on myself. And then I realized that, yeah, like it's not good for my body, it's not good for my mental health. So I need to get rest and I need to stop doing these late shifts. Yeah. So I think that's very important. And of course, having the support network, like to have a mentor that you can ask questions, and fellow like peer mentors who are in similar situation stages as you in the business is very important, because then you can just ask them questions and help each other out. And for example, my mentor was really great when I, like before the production, the pallet company I was using, they lost a whole pallet of my tea, and that tea was coming from Rwanda, so it's not something that can be replaced quickly, and they need to blend the tea as well. And so that delayed the production by 2 months. But at that time, I was just so stressed out by this whole thing, because I didn't want the production to be delayed, and I wanted the palette to be found. But I think what my mentor said really made sense, which was to just like regain focus. Like it's okay to cry, like release the emotions, but afterwards, like how can we do to resolve it? And his suggestion was to reach out to the founder of the pallet shipping company and to contact them. So I did. I contacted them on LinkedIn and also email, and just try to get to the top to see like what can be sorted. Because when I was trying to figure out if I could get reimbursement for the pallet, like no one was responding to me. It took ages to get a response, and finally, like when I went to the top, they were able to at least partially refund me the money. But it was a lot of work. I had to call them all the time, email them all the time. Eventually got some money back, and then use that money to buy a new pallet of tea. So it was a matter of also figuring out like when to order the new pallet of tea, because they said if they found it, then they won't be able to give us any money back, and then I'll end up with 2 pallets of tea, which I don't need. So it was a risk as well for me. But my mentor was like, you calculated yourself, like how long do you want to wait? because you don't want to delay your production by too much. So I ended up going ahead ordering a new pallet of tea, and then being very persistent with the pallet company to give me back some of the money that the tea they had lost would have cost. So yeah, that was a obstacle, but at the end we figured out what was like the best route to resolve the problem.
Yeah. And wow, this is a hell of a story. I don't even want to imagine the level of stress you were under getting that news and then having to come up with all of those in addition to everything else that you are currently working on.
Yeah, that was difficult. But I think, yeah, for example, having a mentor, having an advisor just to bounce ideas off of is really great.
And at the moment, you also do a lot of traveling for an exhibition, conferences. I think you were in Paris recently. How do you look after yourself when you're on the move?
Yeah, so I think for me, I guess everyone's different, but what I've heard from people is I have a lot of energy. I think it would just be me in particular. I don't need that much sleep, and actually like traveling doesn't make me tired. So I quite enjoy traveling. So
That's nice.
I think it's different. It's different for everyone. And I don't mind being on the move. I think I'm used to it at this point, and I actually enjoy conferences. And I think because I'm extrovert, I get energy from being around people and meeting new people, and which you always do at conferences and like trade shows. So I actually really enjoy it. And I can see it being very difficult for people who don't like traveling or prefer not all that so much in person meetings with people that they don't know. So I know it can be very tiring. But I think in this case, for me, it's been okay because I quite enjoy it. Yeah. So I think my advice for people who don't really enjoy it is if you're able to find someone on your team who actually enjoys it, it also is a great way for them to be able to talk about your business and get it out there and be very enthusiastic because they really like the experience. And they could be really good salespeople. Because I met some of the people I met at the trade show, they weren't the founders. They were the sales team people. And it makes sense because the sales team people should be the ones that are really good at sales and talking about your business. So like once you are at that stage where you can have people who love doing sales go out there and sell the product for you, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And the other advice I will add for those who find it a bit tiring to go on a lot of exhibition or networking nights is to, especially if you're traveling, to kind of think a bit about yourself and what time do you need. For example, I'm an introvert by nature, even though I do enjoy and spend a lot of time with people. So when I go on a 3 days conference, especially, I was at the SAF Summit conference this year, and I was presenting for a couple of days, managing the show, so it was full on. And then in the evening, you have the networking nights, and there was a lot of things happening. What I tend to do in those situations is to have at least a couple of hours for myself, and sometimes it's difficult, even just 1 hour for myself, to do something that I like on my own, which sounds a bit weird. And it could be something like reading a book or going to exercise is my biggest thing. I love exercising. And I'm about to start my networking tour, as I call it, for the next month and a half, where I'll be in a lot of different towns, networking, meeting clients, and working with them. And I'm already thinking, oh my God, people, how am I going to deal with that? So what I did, I bought a foldable exercise pack. It's a lot of bands there with like a barbell that you can use, but it's something that you can put in your hand luggage. And I know that every couple of days in the morning, if I feel like I need to center myself, I'll go outside, do a few reps, exercise, run, and just kind of get myself back in gear to then go and really make the most of the great time that I have with people, because that's actually also a great thing to do, right?
Yeah, no, that's such a great idea. Yeah, it makes sense to go exercise and get fit in the same time. Good for physical and mental health. I have some friends who love meditation, so I know they also use it to find mindfulness for themselves before meetings or in between like hectic schedules to just like regain focus.
Yeah. In the first part of our discussion, we talked a lot about the process of coming up with an idea all the way to the manufacturing and holding the product in your hand. And you described the excitement that you had at that moment. And of course, also getting your product into Ocado. For anyone who's out there listening, if you go online, especially if in the UK, and you can get HumaniTea, you can have that with biscuit. I keep on saying that. And the biscuit can also be a vegan biscuit. So that's fine.
Yeah.
And so when you think about everything that you went through and that you've shared with us on this show, when we start looking at the next step, we're thinking about growing the team and growing the business. What are some of the headaches that you are now thinking, I thought I've dealt with this, I thought that would be the hardest one, but there's this new set of challenges that I'm going through as part of the journey of HumaniTea and of Tina?
Yeah, so right now I'm looking at ways to bring our product to other countries outside of UK. So we've looked at Paris or France, and then we've also been to Dubai, so Middle East market. And then we're also going to be in Hong Kong. So we'll be showcasing our products there, just sending some products over to be exhibited. So there are several markets we're looking at, and we've been going through that through the Department of International Trade, and they're really great. They're very supportive, the UK Department of International Trade. So they have all these shows where they offer free exhibitions for UK businesses.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing we're looking at. And then we're looking at also coming up with new products, new flavors. And recently I did a tea tasting just to get people to provide some feedback on some new flavors that they would be interested in, for humanity to create. And actually, chai was one of the more popular ones. And we also had turmeric as a potential flavor. So yeah, just figuring out which is the next flavor to add to our range. Because right now we just have the matcha and the Earl Grey. Yeah, so if anyone has suggestions on what other flavors we should have, let me know.
Yes, that would be
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely going out and getting at least the one you already have out and try them as well when I finally land
Yes.
at some point in August.
Yeah. And you also mentioned hiring and expanding the team. I get asked that quite often because they're like, oh, you're just doing it by yourself. You're doing sales, marketing, operations. You should bring on someone maybe to help you. So I think, yeah, that's definitely something that I'm also looking to have. Either someone to do marketing or someone to do sales. And yeah, I think the good thing now is that we're at a point, it's been 3 years since we started selling in farmers markets. And so people are more and more gaining awareness about our brand. So we're getting some people reaching out about joining the team. And we also have companies reaching out to stock our product. So it's not always me reaching out to people or to companies, but we're getting that inbound traffic as well. So it's really great to see that our brand is growing and gaining more awareness.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. There's nothing like, getting an email or a ping on LinkedIn from someone that says, hey, I've heard about you and I want to find out more and I want to come and join your community.
Yeah, no, it's really rewarding. And I love it when I hear from customers. I remember one of the first feedback I received from a customer who I didn't know, and just someone who had found out about us when our article from BBC went live. It shows the power of PR, because when that article went live, we got so much more traffic than usual. And our sales also increased that day, much more than usual for our website. And she said she had just found out about our business through the BBC article, wanted to support. And then she also told me she was allergic to caffeine. And she was always jealous about how her friends had so much selection for coffee lattes. Oh, sorry, she was allergic to coffee. Yeah, so she saw her friends have so much coffee lattes. There was never tea alternatives. And so when she found my product, she was so happy to be able to get that caffeine boost without having a coffee, because she's allergic to coffee. So yeah, it's something that people don't think about often. But yeah, maybe a lot of people have coffee allergies around the world. So if we're
Yeah.
able to offer an alternative for people who want that natural energy and the refreshing taste of a latte without the coffee, then like a tea latte is a great alternative.
Yeah. Wow. So we talked here about your journey and what's next for you. So it's pretty much growing the team and also diversifying in other areas. But what about Tina Chen? What is next for you? As you know, when you look at where you were when you first started HumaniTea, after Accenture, you went on incubator and you've been on this entire journey, sleeping at random hours of the day to now getting to the point where you are getting people coming in and being interested in your product. What is next for you as the entrepreneur?
Yeah, good question. I think I'm still very passionate and like involved in the business, and I want to continue working on humanity and growing the brand and coming up with new flavors, exporting, and so that we can have more a profit to donate to well-being and sustainability initiatives in our areas of operation. So that's something that I want to continue with and see what happens through there, grow the team. And one thing I found really rewarding as well was job creation, to be able to hire people, which we had a wonderful employee during the last few months through Kickstarter. So it's a program supporting young people 18 to 24. And so we had Megan, who was doing our marketing and PR, and like she was really fantastic. And I think that experience was really rewarding for me, because through the 6 months that she was working at Humanity, she was able to gain the skills that she needed to get a job at a company that she really wanted to work for, a full-time job, where now she's doing blogging and writing, reporting, which is what she has studied and what she wants to do after her degree. So yeah, it was a great opportunity for me to also know that business is one thing, but also like when you have a business, you're able to create jobs for people and allow them to work in a company that they enjoy working in. And I think that's also very rewarding.
Yeah, I second that. One thing I'm really passionate about as well is really helping the next generation, and especially that age range. I've done a lot of volunteering throughout my life, where I've done those kind of things, and being able to do that as part of my business. I sometimes work with younger people who want to get experience, whether it's website design, or whether it's designing for logos and other things on my page, on my website, or even writing. So I'm glad that you also share that same value on how to give back to the next generation.
Yeah, it's really great. Like I love going back to Imperial and just giving talks to the students, because they often invite me to talk to people who are looking at starting their own businesses. And I love to be able to share that I was just in their seats as well 4 years ago, studying, doing my master's, and that they too, like in a few years, will be having their own business. So it's really exciting to be able to share my experiences and to be able to help people who were in my similar steps. Because I also really looked up to the entrepreneurs that spoke with us when I was studying. So I think to be able to go back and do that is really rewarding.
Yeah. And thanks on behalf of all our listeners. Thank you for stopping by the Mary Poppins of Startups live show. It was so incredible. And anyone who's watching or listening to these segments, do remember that there was a part one that you need to go and listen to, because there was a lot of great advice and insight on growing a business, launching a product, and the manufacturing suppliers, and so much more. And thank you, Tina, for being with us today and for absolutely everything that you've shared with us. I will keep in touch and continue cheering you on to join your community. and definitely the moment I finally get my hands on one of your drinks, I will let you know. I cannot wait to have one.
Thank you so much. Yeah, love being a part of your show and so glad to be a part of your community as well.
Thank you.
The Mary Poppins startup show. So
Thank you very much. And for everybody out there, remember, let's design a happy and productive workplace playground together.